like perfect, crisp, clean games.
Just to make sure Deficio
That's not going to happen.
Let's
That's
get into
not
Champion
happening.
Select. It could. Twist of Fate, first ban. If you haven't watched any Suno games before, this may be news to you. If you have, then it's banned out every single game against him because this is what he plays. It's his signature champion, and no team will ever let him have it ever in competitive.
No.
Zed banned away because of Duskblade of Drakfar has been introduced into Sig 3, which we are playing on today, so that's taken away because he synergizes very well with the item. Gangplank, Corki, Cogmore, saw that banned out both games in our previous games today, Stress, and Kalista was our final one. So very fast bans coming out here, but makes sense with the current meta changes in Sig 3.
A lot of focus on AD carries though, which means as on previous patches, I mean, why not? Why not pick up the Lucian? It seems to make the most sense in this situation. I mean, outside of that, you'd be looking at kind of the B tier AD carries, you'd be looking at the Misfortunes,
Caitlyn.
that kind of like... And honestly, for Mouse, now that they've got Nardius, this is the kind of matchup that they can look at and go, okay, well, we can win the 2v2 here. I mean, we've lost 2v2s before, but that was with Tarek. Now we've got Nardius. He helped us, you know, get a good start to last week's games against Huma. Maybe they can do the same against SK because we know Vardax and Unlimited have been the weaker part of SK. Even though obviously SK changed out Morsu, they felt that that affected the team more. I still think it's a glaring weakness for SK.
But generally the bot lane has been a weakness for Mouse as well, so maybe Nardius can do enough. I mean, he did lose the lane, but I feel like that may be able to beat them as a pairing. We have the first two pickups from SK Gaming.
Well,
Shen and Lulu, so
they're going
Stress,
for protect.
I wonder what they're running here.
They're protecting
very
something.
ambiguous.
They're protecting something. That means Vardax is either playing Tristana or Vayne in this setup. Thinking about other protection AD carries right now in the meta, Caitlyn is the other option.
True,
for a later game scaling.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to scale.
But that's what I mean is, they're not gonna like pick something like a Misfortune with these two,
right?
Who's teamfight focused. Sure. But I mean, there's like a very select few AD carries that should go with these two. Yeah, exactly. Anything that is that attack speed plus crit, you know, late game monster AD carry. So we'll see how it goes because this is a coordination-based comp, and they're running team comps that, you know, we've seen struggle with the Zac. We've seen other team comps that they've run that just haven't really hit the mark when they've required a little bit more than just straight up play.
Yeah, and we tried that in Dynamic Queue and that did not work very well.
It was
Elise and Thresh will be the next two pickups here. I mean, Elise for Dan makes a whole lot of sense. Top tier jungler right now. Gragas on the opposite side may be picked up, but oh, there we go, locked in immediately. So we can talk about it. Yeah, Gragas, we saw him. Maxwell picked him up.
Yep.
Has definitely moved up in the rankings in terms of priority, and I really like it. As Maxwell was saying, he thinks it's OP because the wave clear and the clear times are so good right now.
Not only that, on top of all of that, they also reverted a change that got put onto Gragas a while back. One of the changes that brought him a little off the top was the change to Q. It used to have to sit there before it would do its maximum slow. Now it actually, you just roll it out Q and it applies a 2-second slow rather than the increasing over the time, which sounds like a fairly small change, but when you're trying to stick on top of people, the body slam into then, you know, the rest of the follow-up, it is a fair difference. That difference of like 0.7 of a second slow.
Yes. It doesn't sound like a lot.
No,
but
it doesn't. It really doesn't. But it is.
Need to market it better. It's like a whole extra, almost a second.
Almost. Round up. It's like nearly 10 seconds.
Yes, there you go. But there's a Caitlyn actually, as you were talking about. I wasn't expecting to be a Caitlyn, honestly, as a crit-based AD carry, but here we go.
So my mind went, Tristana Vayne makes sense in a holistic sense of what you do with this comp. Caitlyn makes the most sense in the current meta with the pool of AD carries that would be in this kind of setup. So I'm like, okay, kind of that's why Caitlyn. Yeah. Normally you'd see her probably with a pushing composition, you know, with a support that can facilitate a push on lane. We used to ages ago see like a Lulu or a Zyra with Caitlyn, so like Season 3. But if you're going to try and push with Caitlyn, what's really good for that is wave clear on the other side. And for Mouse, they're like, we need wave clear. Let's go Victor.
Yeah, the king of wave clear, basically, in the mid lane.
And not only that, they've gone, we need side lane control because they're trying to group. So let's go Nautilus and do what Gamsu did.
Yes,
and I'm expecting the ZZ Rot Banner of Command build on Nautilus, which I hate the build to be in my games, but watching it is quite fun.
It is, because it actually takes a lot of skill to set up, use it correctly, have the timings on your wave, and actually set it up. So there's a lot of skill and coordination that goes into utilizing ZZ Rot and Banner. We'll touch on more of that as we get into game, obviously, but now we have the full compositions here. Trundle was the final pick, going on to Unlimited. And what else did we have? We had the Victor, of course, and the Thresh. Okay, so we have all of that in there.
So it's Trundle support. Shen in the top lane is where it got locked in. So obviously you want that global presence with Shen. For Trundle, you can use the pillar, land those Piltover Peacemakers pretty effectively, pretty nice. There's some good synergy there. It's good. It's a good setup, but it's a difficult setup as well because for SK, this is not... Caitlyn should never really hard lose a 2v2 without getting engaged upon. Like if a Thresh hook hits, that's where she'll lose the 2v2,
Sure.
but she should go even. If she doesn't go even in this game without a Thresh hook hitting her, something is going wrong.
Yeah, something has majorly gone wrong when you have like a Protect the X composition. And then, yeah, on the opposite side, you have a Thresh which can punish with a Death Sentence. You have the Lucian with the follow-up as well, so it's kind of good there. And then, yeah, Sudden Lotus in the top lane. Also to note that we've had the change in the top lane now from SK Gaming. Sleeping brought in over Morsu. We saw Morsu last week just not have a good game. He was up against Sartorius, and it was just taunt after taunt after taunt after taunt landing over and over and over and over again. I cannot stress how many taunts landed in this game.
There were too many taunts that when we were looking through this earlier, I was like, I think we need to actually cut some of this out. This is far too long. It was like going on for a minute. But, it feels like SK maybe said, well, we don't want that to happen to us again this week, so let's pick it.
Yeah.
First rotation, Shen with the Lulu. I like it, protect Vardags, but that's a lot of eggs in one basket. That does kind of scare me.
It does, and we've seen it go right for the likes of Woolite, but also seen it go very wrong for Pinoy. So,
yeah, actually,
we have to see. And it's on Vardags, right? Yeah, it's on Vardags. So, a lot of faith in Vardags this game.
You mentioned Pinoy. We'll get to the Wolves later, but that was pretty much what happened last week with Pinoy. Was this Caitlyn protect composition and did not go well. When your Caitlyn's trading even. In fights, it's not a good,
No, you
sign.
can't go 1-for-1 with a protected comp and just like, all right, boys, we've executed it
protected him for
perfectly.
1 kill.
There we go. No, you've got to get multiple kills. And it's all about keeping that person alive so they can bring out the maximum DPS. This would be a great composition if Cogmore wasn't banned, because he hits that 1-2 item power spike, which is ridiculous with W, versus Caitlyn. Who needs multiple items to get rolling. Like, you need those 2 items. You'll most likely go, like, a BF Sword into a Pickaxe. Then you'll go Shiv item, which has been buffed on this patch, versus Rapid Fire Cannon. Then finish the item. Then you have a Power Spike, and then you need the 3rd item to really get rolling.
You do need that 3rd item to really get rolling. Sorry, I thought there was like a little bit more rolling on that. Anyway,
nope, I've stopped rolling.
If you want to roll on over to Twitter, maybe stop hating as well. Hashtag MOU and hashtag SKWin. We'll catch up with that as we get into game. But this is an important matchup here because the loser of this, if it goes to a 2-0, would be in a real tough spot. Either way, they would be shy of a fair few points to catch up with the rest of the pack.
Indeed, and after the first series of the day, Inspire overtook Millennium, so the top of the table is even shifting about. But SK, yeah, they could definitely do with some points here.
I must admit, I'm a little surprised to see SK opting for the Trundle as support, or the Shen as top lane, and not kind of swapping it around with a Tahm Kench, perhaps? Because you look down the line of Mouse, Hook on Thresh, Cocoon on Elise, Hook on Nautilus. Like, there's a lot of single target crowd control. So what's good for single target crowd control to make it go away?
Tahm Kench.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're running a protect composition. Like, those two things go hand in hand. That's not to say Trundle can't do too well, but he will provide a source of disengage, as will the Gragas. So there are options available. It's just not quite, if you'll excuse the strength of this, the brainless protection that is Tahm Kench. There's like literally one decision to make, and that is, are you in trouble? I will eat you now.
Yeah. It's not even high APM. It's like click W, click your target.
Yeah.
You did it.
It's like
saved your AD carry.
It's like new Cogmore protect mechanics where you just stand still.
Yep.
And just click people. Whoop. It's just like there's literally no micro involved in the moving of the Cogmore, just who you're firing at.
Yeah. That's kind of true, actually, yeah.
Because if anybody gets onto you, you're dead already. Like,
Yeah,
that's over.
I mean,
it's
like,
on the rest of your team to keep you alive at that point.
And it's after 4 attack speed. There is that really dumb video of this person with like almost 4 attack speed, just kiting perfectly, landing all of the auto attacks. So
Right.
it is humanly possible. I don't know how many players so far have actually put in the time to see if they can kite and stutter step perfectly
It is,
with
but
a Cogmore and 4 attack speed.
If I remember rightly, that was like a former StarCraft pro that like is used to like. So this is off topic.
APM.
Do you ever see Marine King Prime splitting
Yes.
Marines? Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But to this one, we are into a lane swap situation. So regardless of the fact that we were expecting Caitlyn to go even, at least, Mouse say we don't want you going even. We kind of want to just lane swap, get Lucian and Thresh through this. Don't get poked out by the Caitlyn. And also that top lane matchup as well. Get Binsu a couple of levels under him and then be able to stand in lane against Sleeping.
Okie dokie. So in mid lane, Suno up against Sevex, and Rux is also in the mid lane. Hook lands, should have the flay as well. Sevex comes in with the damage. Ignite comes out, but Sleeping and Doggo are here. Defensive flash and that summoner burn from Rux. So he's actually down 2 summoners off that proactive play he was trying to make. Meanwhile, we have a lane swap, by the way. Nargis went into the top lane. We'll be pushing it down with Beansu. So net gain for SK Gaming. Not in terms of gold, but in terms of resources. Good to have.
Good to have. They also got the extra numbers advantage down in the bottom side faster, I believe. So may very well have a slightly faster push. But I will double check that. It's about even, actually. Mouse maybe slightly ahead, looking at the current state of things. So Mouse, with that Lucian double tap, have been hitting that tower pretty effectively.
And Beansu will take this one. So hopefully Nargis recalls in time. No, he's going to recall in range. Dirty AD carry taking away the gold from his top laner. Look at that.
Oh, and it even got stopped. Oh, that's painful.
That happened last game as well.
That did happen last game. Like, these minions are on a warpath, man.
Yeah. Just walk into the bush. Just stay outside of the rain. Look at this. This is how you set up your top laner for success. All of that gold over to Sleeping. 6 CS over to 5, so not a big difference in terms of the top laners, and both top laners will stay around to catch the wave. So unlike the last series where we saw someone getting screwed, both of these top lanes are actually going to get most of this gold and most of this experience.
Ooh, oh, okay. No, it's good. Smite was available. They had the extra damage onto
like
Rux.
flashing up red, and I was just, ah!
There's always that moment, because Rift Herald does a lot of damage. He's an angry Herald. I guess there's not many things that herald the coming of something that aren't particularly angry. I mean, I guess
Herald. Victor's a pretty angry dude, I'd have to assume.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of lasers. You don't make lasers for, at least death lasers for happiness.
Right, because lasers you could have in a rave, but death lasers not so much.
So my brain went there. I was like, you don't use lasers to make people happy, and then like realized that's actually what you use lasers for these days.
Yeah.
That's why it's a death
for example.
laser.
Yes, death laser. Death ray, in fact. It's going up the middle lane. So basically, even in the middle lane, it's Lulu and it's Victor. They're going to farm. They're going to do that for like 10, 15 minutes. And they're going to like, all right, team, we can join you now. We're farmed.
Interesting, though, Sebex opted for the barrier, though. That is something that it is fairly, different on Victor. There's the kind of 3 schools of thought. You got the barrier defensive school, you got the cleanse because you're up against a lane that's going to stun you, or you've got the ghost for I'm going in. So it's just interesting that Sebex opted for barrier, not ghost. I kind of would have maybe liked to have seen him think about that. It depends on how the team fights develop, because I'm looking at it. They need to somehow get to Caitlyn, and they've got a lot of front-on engage. You're looking at those hooks, those cocoons that aren't really going to come from the side too easily because they take too long. They're kind of like chance setup, very difficult to orchestrate that without vision control. Just interesting that it's, it's not the same as like a Hecarim flank, where you just go in and then your ult does the work. So
Yeah, barrier to me feels like the primary school of thought, not like the university where you're like thinking really hard about it and
so I don't mind the barrier.
Educated decisions. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like the other options, I don't know. Suno actually went for the Ignite in the middle lane.
In that case, like the barrier is actually fine because of that, but you don't know that. It's like rock, paper, scissors before the game starts. So no, I think it's fine. It's just one of those things where it slightly reduces the ability of Sebex to get onto Vardags if that situation were to arise. But speaking of people getting all up in others' grill, oh, hook went out.
He's out. Gragas, as Suche said in Season 1 in an interview, he squeezes through the trees very easily because like he's kind of like a flubber material, that being Gragas, so he could get through like the jungle very easily because he. I thought you were talking about
Suche there, like
yeah,
as in Suche was.
Oh no, that's Dokko, mate.
No, it's fine. I thought you meant the flubber material. I thought you were being quite rude to.
Oh, Gragas.
You know, Season 1. He did win a World Championship, right?
Yeah,
on that lineup. Yeah, sorry, it just...
And he did the Gragas cosplay with the water cooler.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, it takes that moment to remember that he actually won that. Just because I can remember the players that were in it, and then I'm like, yeah, Yellow Star, world champion. No, not world champion from Season 1.
This is how Stress's brain works, ladies and gentlemen. Also, I think Rux just denied Sebix a cannon minion because he hit it with the hook and did enough damage to the tower shot to hit it. Because he was trying to hit it because he wanted to obviously get the relic shield.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still doubting myself.
Oh.
For some reason, I've just completely brain farted.
Good.
Yeah. No, because I'm pretty sure I was wrong on that one as well. But anyway,
okay.
That was a long time ago in history, and week 4 of the Spring Split 2016.
Not bring it up again.
No, I know.
No one went back and rewatched it.
The problem is, somebody's going to tweet me and be like, "You're stupid. This was the lineup," and I'm going to be like, "Yes, I know this." And now I've just secured that somebody is doing that, so I'm preempting them doing it.
Now.
You would do that. You are the kind of person that would do that, Pulse. But anyway.
Hashtag Pulse win. Oh, Rux may be called out here. And a flash out of the way from Sleeping's E. That's what Morsu did not do last week.
Or use Steadfast Presence.
Nope. That was the weirdest thing. That was the point that we didn't bring up when we were talking over the video. Was he had Steadfast Presence? That straight up just blocks the taunt. All you need to do, and you have reaction time. Bot lane's actually going down here for SK Gaming. Binsu can try and clear out the wave with Riptide here. And they should, yeah, they got Victor Laser, just overkill on
over the wall.
They're still pushing though in this 4-stack, but Victor's right off to the side. He has ultimate, he has everything. There's the pillar, the flash, and he engaged onto Vardax. He's going to be Sleeping, taking the bullet for Caitlyn here. The knockback from the ultimate in from Dokko, the first blood onto Vardax. The champion they're trying to connect, this Caitlyn here, gets the initial gold income, and Binsu will be the one taking the damage.
It was a nice engage. It actually caught Vardax out. It was good to begin with, and then out comes all of the disengage from SK. They managed to use the Gragas, managed to push away everybody from Mouse, and then you can see how the follow-up from Mouse just doesn't work against this lineup. Just to keep in mind, this DC has come through from Sleeping, but he will be rejoining the game very shortly, as currently this is a 4 versus 5. Remember that we do work on a slight delay here, so... this has all been resolved.
Which is why Sebix did not kill him there, because otherwise he would have just blown him up, but Sleeping will be walking all the way back to base.
Although Sebix did just go aggressive on Suno. He's like, I will let him pass, but I will not let you.
I think Suno aggressed on Sebix there.
It's not on my screen. Sebix got the laser.
I thought like Suno was just like super BM and it's just like, thank you for letting my top laner by, but have a little lance.
I mean, that's the rules in ranked, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
no mercy.
No mercy. No mercy. There we go. Sleeping is back. Hopefully he's well rested now. I'm
not even going to dignify that.
No, I know. It could have been so much better.
Yeah, we'll get it next time. Nardius, he's going to be sleepwalking up into the middle lane.
Oh, God, stop it.
75% over to SK, actually, over Mousesports. So a lot of faith in this roster swap coming in here. And they'll just be pushing this one in. There's been a lot of just farming, rotating from lane to lane. I mean, it's basically, this is a lane swap done normally, where there's no tempo over to either team. It swaps around the map, they go for the one-on-ones, and just not like a lot happens. Mid laner, 2 passive mid laners who are just going to farm. So this is a type of the game you get for the first 15-20 minutes until people start making mistakes that they can capitalize on, or making proactive plays around objectives. But for now, we're going to be taking Rift Heralds, we're going to be taking Rift Scuttlers.
Spiderling's OP, man. Tanking him up. You just saw Dan keeping that Rift Herald aggroed on the Spiderlings, then being able to take it down from the backside. But I was interested in what Maxwell was actually saying. The interview that you guys just had before the commercial break after our first series.
I remember.
And I was just recapping for anybody that maybe didn't see it. Maxler was talking about how you don't want to go Cinderhulk on Gragas, which I thought was pretty interesting. Just from the side that I kind of, when watching Gragas for the first time is on 6.3, I'm like, well, I'm expecting to default to Cinderhulk, because that's what people were building beforehand. But I guess with the Runic Echoes, the added clear, it does make a whole lot of sense, with Strength of Ages as well. He was talking about how, you know, you have that extra 300 health. It was something that I hadn't really considered, and I actually think makes even more sense. I was expecting Gragas to be played a whole lot just for his disengage, but you clue in the amount of damage now he has as well with that Runic Echoes. It's a considerable amount.
And he gets really, really tanky, so he doesn't die and hits you for 1 billion damage. It's Gragas. Really, really strong. But yeah, so most likely you will be seeing the Runic Echoes come out here. The wave clear in jungle was just so strong. I call it wave clear, but it's jungle clear. You know what I mean. Beansuit, he's on top of a ward, so Limited knows where he is. Dan is here, taken away. Oh, Limited actually gets hooked in by Rux and will be dragged into the team, but so much displacement, everyone goes flying. That's a 1-for-1 jungler for support in favor of SK Gaming. Doko gets dragged in with the dredge line. Now Sleeping comes into the fight and immediately runs away. Flash, hook, Rux connects it onto Suno. This should be another kill coming in here for Mouse, as long as they can get the damage off. Nardus even flashes in range, even though Suno had used the zone, but got to secure that kill.
And the problem in that fight was the exact problem SK cannot let happen for the remaining fights. Suno was not on Vardags. Vardags took so much damage that he had to back away out of the fight. He was only on 200 health at the end. Suno, full mana, full health, was not in range to shield, and then got caught out trying to come around the corner. With these protect comps, you have to be pre-set up when it comes to stacking as a group to look for fights, or even in those situations where you could potentially be caught looking to fight over a dragon. And if you're not preemptively around your AD carry, it becomes infinitely more difficult to keep them alive in that fight, and that's exactly what we just saw.
At the very least, all of the kills are being funneled into Vardags, so he's rapidly approaching his bigger item build. When he first started off with the pickaxe and then went into the BF sword, I thought he was going to go for the build that makes more sense, which is build the components, go into your Shiv item, which actually gives you a nicer curve into your 2-item spike, instead of Infinity Edge really not doing a lot, and then you hitting a big spike when you hit the Shiv. But he went Infinity Edge, so... Yeah,
well, we have seen a lot of Caitlyn players going Infinity Edge first. Specifically, was watching LCK a lot this weekend, and when they did have a Caitlyn, and they were talking about it, Kobe and Freak were talking about how, you know, Infinity Edge first seems to be what they're doing, but you can see in this fight, look where Suno is at the beginning of this fight. So this is so good for Mouse, for SK to begin with. They get Dan, and they should be able to fight more here, but Vardags is moving forward, Suno is moving backwards away from this fight. Sleeping even completes his teleport during that, and everything should have been screaming that SK need to be moving forward, but no shield onto Vardags means that SK can't do that.
2-2 in this game. Mouse have a small advantage in terms of gold. 2-2 towers as well. The major advantage they have is really in the form of dragons. Top laners, the 2 tanks are basically in the same place, almost have the same items. Both have that Balmy Cinder, so they'll push fairly equally against each other. This first item from Beansu will be the Sunfire Cape, meaning he'll have the extra pushing power, which also got changed. 50% extra damage to minions and monsters now in 6.3. But he's not going for the ZZ Rush or the Baron Command. He may go that later, but that's generally what we've been seeing from a lot of top lane Nautiluses as he's come back. But he's not doing that right now. There's still time, though.
There is still time, and I do kind of hope he goes that way, just because it gives Mouse an extra edge. Still, they're going to have trouble fighting SK, but if they can kind of force SK to come forward and fight then, that's when they should have a fair amount of success, because their potential to kite back and then hook to counter-engage is very strong. So if you put SK in a situation where they either have to leave with the Shen, then use his ult to come back, and then rinse and repeat that, that's what they want to do.
Rock's taking the bullet for Sevex there. He's only level 6, so it's going to hurt him a little bit more than Sevex, but here's the support. That is his job. Unlimited also level 7. Something else I want to track is something you mentioned at the start of the game, is how is Trundle going to do in comparison to a Tahm Kench? How many times are SK going to get caught out by like a hook or a binding or something that would have killed them that Tahm Kench would have been able to save? And
the counter to that is how many times are they going to land a pillar that Tahm Kench wouldn't have been able to offer? So that's always the trading potential. Also, then the tank shredding ability that Trundle always brings. Sure. Like there are these different unique flavors that a Trundle is going to bring, so that's why I don't completely dismiss the Trundle pick as an option. because that is one thing that will become very difficult for a Caitlyn, or at least for any AD marksman, to actually be able to chunk through super tanks, especially the later the game goes. With the reduced Last Whisper, you're also very, very, very unlikely to build something like a Duskblade, which has armor penetration, just because of how it's based on auto attacks rather than an active that we've had many a discussion about. And I hope we do get to see a Duskblade at some point today, but it'll likely be on a caster AD mid laner rather than an AD carry.
Talon, Kha'Zix.
So anybody building it on an AD carry, if you auto attack things without going all in, you probably shouldn't be building Duskblade.
We saw a Draven build it, but that makes sort of more sense. I'm not saying it makes a lot of sense, but like if you're farming in for 2 minutes and then go wham and then just go like immediately for the trade, and then you have those 2 minutes which are on cooldown, so you can auto attack anyway.
It is a good item when it comes to the added armor pen, because the item itself without the passive is just around 100% efficient.
Yeah.
Just under.
It's basically, it's like, you know, it's like a couple god. It's like
so it's not an inefficient item, and if you desperately need another source, like it's fair enough, but I don't think it's a particularly strong item on AD carries itself. Right now, at least. Maybe someone will prove us wrong. Show us the ways of the Duskblade. But we are the first, at least European games or Western games to be played on 6.3. So there's a lot of time to find out exactly who's going to be playing what.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, it just depends on the team really, but some teams like react to patches very quickly.
Yes.
And start building new items, start building new champions. Like Sartorius, for example, was very fast to Shen. But then you have teams who would just stick to what was good in the last patch. And then it's still good. You have the strategies, you know how to play around it. And you don't need to adapt super quickly if you play the old composition well.
And that's something that becomes even more apparent the closer you get to like Worlds season. And that sounds strange, but Worlds, the competitive patch cycle slows down. So you have one patch for the entirety of Worlds. So you start to see these teams that are less innovators and more refining teams that take a strategy that people have already made and go, okay, this is how we shave these little edges to make it that bit more efficient. And they do it better than other teams. They do it better than the people that bring them initially. So it tends to not happen so much when we're on a 2-week patch cycle. So innovative teams tend to do better in the long run, but that's not to say that there are teams that refine their strategies, like the likes of H2K over the last year have been very good at the lane swap. So there is still room for it.
So what you're saying is if one of these teams was a refining team but didn't quite make it into the LCS, if only they were in Worlds and they could refine it over a month.
No, it's more just
no, I know what you're saying.
It's more just a point about how the patch cycle influences
I think it's really
team
an interesting topic, yeah.
It's one that I would love to talk about for days, but unfortunately this is not the platform to talk about teams that are not Mouse and SK, really, because we are in a game here. It's an important game.
Yep, so anyway, Unlimited going towards his Dragon here, which is spawning in 3 seconds. We had the timers back, by the way, so that's nice. And Dragon is now up. The Crab has been secured by SK, though, so it's hard for Mouse, even though they have the positioning of the area, to immediately go for it, because SK have the vision. Top lane, Nautilus, he's just kind of pushing.
Both TPs are up.
Big CS advantage, and it's pushing up against Sleeping. Sleeping has his ult, has TP. Are we going to see a contest from SK? Because the Dragon is dropping very low, and Limited gets dragged in. There's the box as well. Teleport now coming in from both of the top laners. Dragon is still low, but there's no one really to kill it. There we go, finally. Oh, Dongo actually stole it. The 2 people in the pit was not enough in there for Dan. Dan had a level advantage as well. The Hawk lands onto Sleeping, and now we have a full-blown team fight. Beansu heading into the back lines and immediately drops as he gets caught in the gravity field. A great play by Rook, flashing in the Flay, and Rooks is really turning up in this game. 3-1. Mouse get the kills over the Dragon, and I think that was definitely worth it for Mouse.
And at that point, again, SK are not utilizing this composition fully. Suno has all of his health, all of his mana. Yes, he has cooldowns he has to abide by, but the fact that Vardags is walking forward into a very crowded tri-bush, where the whole enemy team is, you've got to respect that flash play that's going to come from Rux, especially on a Caitlyn. You are the longest range AD carry when it comes to a base attack range. And you're walking into a team fight like that. All you've got to do is, in wherever you've got vision, auto-attack the closest target. It's all the role of this protect the AD carry really is. And the fact that Suno walks away and Vardags doesn't, highlights a massive issue with this kind of comp. I kind of want to see it again, see where the shields, where the heals went. Maybe there was not too much more that SK could have done without kiting forward, but certainly would be an interesting one. I'm going to get my wish, thankfully.
Hey.
So take note, Dotgo just walks up and smites this. So Dan was in the back of the pit. Please don't take that lantern, Dan. Okay, it was the barrel at the same time disrupted Dan. So now I'm looking for the shield. Shield went on unlimited first. Vardags a little bit favorable there. Still nothing onto Vardags at this point. Shield I don't believe is quite available yet. Okay, so they did throw a couple onto him, but still just the position of walking forward in that bush. Really not where you want your Caitlyn to be going.
And then he immediately flashes out, like he knew it was a mistake. Then he flashes out, but you've committed too far. Then Rux is able to punish you. It's interesting because you see these compositions around like a Holy Phoenix or like these Star AD carries. Vardags and Unlimited has been a bot lane who people have been trying to exploit and doing that successfully. It's so interesting to see SK put so many eggs in this basket when the basket has many holes and the eggs are falling out and cracking on the floor.
Those are some pretty big holes in this basket.
Yeah, it's pretty old and tattered.
Okay.
But it can still be used, I guess. Oof.
That's always satisfying when you can manage to aggro Baron and his little feet stomp on people.
You can't see this, but Stress is making a little T-Rex kind of imitation there.
Of course.
That's basically what Baron is.
Yeah.
A worm T-Rex.
I don't know where this is going.
Nope.
But you raise an interesting point about the team comp for SK. And, you know, they brought Sleeping in, and as yet, it hasn't particularly changed anything. Not that I'm expecting a miraculous change here, because if they wanted somebody to carry, they may as well have left Morsu in and just made him play carries. But that's, unfortunately, unless you're playing Fiora, tends not to be the case in top lane right now. Not a whole lot of room for top lane carries, as tanks are the general meta. But for this kind of comp, I don't feel like Sleeping has had an insane amount of control over the side wave to the point where Beansu hasn't had options. Like, Beansu's up on CS, yes, he's getting kind of pushed in, but got his teleport soon to come up, has his ultimate available. So, I don't know. I'm waiting to see more from SK.
Yeah. I think that's the main takeaway. Dotgar, he's been caught, he's been hooked again. He'll flash away, and he's got a lot of disengage. He pops his own ultimate, and Sleeping used his ultimate on top of it.
And Suno used his ultimate on top of it. If they get to Vardags now, they kill him.
The point, the click, Beansu trying to get in range for the dredge line, but isn't quite there. Sleeping is literally standing on top of Vardags to make sure he doesn't die. Well, this is tense, because if any CC lands onto Vardags, especially the point and click from Beansu, like, you just can't even get in range of the Nautilus.
Yeah, lucky for, well, not lucky, but for SK, they have a lot of disengage here, which means that Mouse have to basically hook twice here, which does make it kind of difficult. Vardags is playing with fire here, but has Unlimited beside him. I mean, it's just a difficult comp to play. These Protect comps, like, it sounds so easy on paper. Oh, all we've got to do is shield our one player.
Easy.
Easy game, right? No, because there's a reason you have to shield them. This is not the same as the Juggermore, which Juggermore tended to be better, even with, you know, teams that weren't so consistent when it came to their coordination, because you gave so much health and resistances, and Kog'Maw just deleted people from close range. Yeah. Like, you had so much. Like, there's no reason that this couldn't happen with the Caitlyn, but you can see that if it's not there at the beginning of the fight, Caitlyn has only just got her attack speed item, so her actual ability to shred targets in front of her has been fairly low.
Yeah. Well, we never really had the Jugger Caitlyn. At the push, we had the Jugger Jinx.
Yeah, which had its drawbacks as well.
Yeah.
It's just, you're really good at killing a target kind of quick, but then not as fast as a Kog'Maw, and it's the same as a Caitlyn. Same as Caitlyn now. Yeah. She's gonna kill targets quickly, but it's not the same as the percent shred that Kog used to have.
And he basically became a tank once you had, like, the Lulu ultimate on him, the shields as well. Like, you could stick him on the front line and he wasn't going to die, but he was going to kill you very quickly. So I definitely think that composition could come back in a big way. AD carry Cog has being picked up a lot right now, and there's a very high priority, being banned every single game today.
Yeah.
So they'll be going on to this Caitlyn instead. Rapid Fire Cannon also received a nerf in the last patch, but both AD carries have gone for it regardless, where the Static Shiv has gone up in value.
So these two AD carries that have decent wave clear as it is, there are some that I'm expecting to kind of shift over, perhaps, to the Static Shiv if you're very single target focused, without the likes of a Piercing Light, you know, the Piltover that Caitlyn has. So Caitlyn, it's such a good item just synergistically with it because you just get that added range as well. Extra. Oh, here's a fight.
Hook onto Unlimited, and the TP
this
from
is not
Sleeping
good.
interrupted. Now Doko will be following after. Vardax as well, jumping over the wall, will be taken down. The double kill in from Dan. 3 for 0. Big punish by Mouse.
Man, Vardax waited on his flash until after the crowd control had already started to hit him. Real tough fight for SK there. They just keep falling apart. Yes, they've got 2 kills onto Caitlyn, but now it's traded back. One onto, well, 2 deaths now onto Vardax in these last 2 fights is just not really what SK wanted from this game. Mouse is so far ahead of this game, and they are pushing down for their first inhibitor of the game.
27 minutes coming in here. Beansu leading the charge onto this one. Oh, the hook as well onto Sleeping. Will be dragged in here, but they're really just after the inhib. Stops him from shadow dashing into them, and no punish in from SK. Now they're starting to chase after. Sleeping has his taunt and his flash gravity field for the slow and the stun. If they stay in it for too long, Volatile spiraling as well. This is the slowest chase in history, is what you're witnessing here, ladies and gentlemen. SK, they may get a range, but it'll only be 2 members, and that'll be the tanks. Dark Passage.
They're waiting on the Greg Assault coming up.
Uh-oh. Nope.
It's coming up on Rux. Whoa, Doggo, come on, keep chasing. Got him!
Oh, he lands it with the E, the flash, and Sleeping is there with the CC now, and the double Piltover kill in for Vardax. I don't think I've ever seen a Piltover kill 2 people at once, but that was glorious.
Much better for SK. It took them a long time to get everybody there, and obviously they had a lot of speed up from Lulu on the backline to get them there, but Mouse perhaps overstaying on the bottom lane fight. This is all the way back at the Dragon fight, so I kind of want to watch Vardax for his net. Like, where does he first choose to net? Because he holds his flash to go over the wall. Like, Vardax should... Oh, he messed it up. That's why he had to flash late. So he netted, like, kind of parallel to the wall, almost at, like, the 45-degree angle, actually, where it just kind of knocks you into the wall and you don't go over. That's sad.
Yeah.
Although I remember, like, when you start picking up Caitlyn, it's kind of counterintuitive that you've got a net away from the way you want to go.
True, but as long as you have this kind of idea and that you need to be adjacent to the wall.
Like, that's not something that I would expect a player in Challenger to mess up. That like, be like, oh, I just didn't know that. I just mean that if you've not played Caitlyn before, for viewers at home, maybe you're like, how did that mess up? But, like, it's actually a little bit of a mess of the mind. Ooh, I had to find some words, different words for that.
Yes. But it also makes sense if you think in a different way, right? Like, you're shooting something at so much force that you're being propelled backwards. Like collateral damage, for example, it's a big shell. I don't even know how I don't know how he stores that on his person, but he does. And he shoots that, propels him backwards. Same thing with the net. It's a big net.
Big net.
And it was not a big net
caliber
game for SK Gaming. Look at that. English skills.
You nearly messed up the word skills.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I was like, do I let this slide? No, nope.
Top lane C's coming in here from Mouse. Dan getting called out. There's the pillar. He'll be repelling up. Got to go right back down, though. Oh, what the timing on the ultimate from Doko. Instantly knocks Dan into the team, and they'll take him out. That was actually sick. Now the death ray coming across, and the slow onto Unlimited. He'll be backing off now.
So SK have got themselves a QSS onto the Caitlyn now, so another layer of protection for Vardax. Means he can sit further back, but right now you can see he's not really doing a massive amount of damage to that tank. I wonder whether we're going to see him opt for the likes of, like, the Hurricane, which, so Hurricane actually stacks up incredibly quickly on Caitlyn now. At least stacks up the headshot.
Yep.
It's if you hit 3 targets, it's every second is a headshot, which is pretty nice. rounds of 3. Defigio was telling me if you stand in a bush, so you get the double stacks,
Yep.
it theoretically should give you one every time, but the fact is the animation applies after the second one hits, so it actually doesn't quite loop nicely. You don't get a headshot every single attack. That'd be kind of...
That would be cool, though. Like, sitting in a bush and getting rewarded for it, but it's not the case.
Piltovian sniper over there.
Yeah.
Just taking everybody out.
We saw the American sniper in the NALCS for the Jin coming out, but we haven't seen the Jin yet in Europe. Or nor in Challenger, where I thought we were going to see it. Top tower's going to go down.
Vardax, the ult's on him.
Beansu follows after. Rux does not... Oh, he actually just yellow stars that missed everything. And Doggo now backing off. He'll be obliterated by Sebex. Sleeping comes in with the Shadow Dash with the lockdown. And now moving on to Sebex as well. He'll be dropping low. Sleeping dragged into the team, but the Wild Growth is on him. He is extremely slow. There's a new carry in time in town. And his name is Shen, but they've all been slowed down. And once again, they're going to try and follow, but this time they back away.
You can see how difficult it is for them to get on Vardax now. All of that crowd control is coming from the front of the fight, and nobody can get around. Rux tried with the flash into the Flay. Oh man, that's gonna kind of haunt him, because that play is a difficult play. But if you pull that off, that probably is the Caitlyn dead in that situation. But just barely missing on the reverse Flay is a real tough break for Rux. But nevertheless, without that, it's so tough to get onto it. Oh, he was expecting Vardax to keep running ever so slightly, but the delay on the depth charge was just too long as he came back down to earth.
It took me back to the highlight from Yellowstar in Season 2 where he was in a bottom try and just missed absolutely everything.
Oh, dear.
Good memories. Not a good one for Rux in this game, but...
Oh, we've got it, Pulse.
What, the ZZ Rot?
The ZZ Rot is in town. And what town is he in? Is he in top lane, bottom lane? Oh,
Cervex is about to be underground very soon. Dan, he's got him. He's got his back.
Oh, it's top lane.
There we go. It has been blue watered though, so they know where it is. And Shen is actually not the worst champion at removing it versus Malphite, which is one of the goofiest things in League of Legends if you've seen a Malphite trying to clear that one away.
He just applauds it to death.
Yeah. Oh, unlimited!
Ooh.
Has to pop...
Force the Ludo ult.
Yeah. That was not good. Very not good, actually.
Very, very not good.
Yeah.
Doggo at this point, he's in a not good situation.
In a very,
himself.
very not good situation in this mid lane. And they actually block up escape route. That was actually very heads up. Standing in front of the Gragas when he's trying to run away means he can't body slam through you. And if he has no flash, he's dead.
It was the opposite of not good.
What's that?
Not good.
Oh, yeah. That is the opposite. Beansu is just taking some of the trap damage, but this is where Caitlyn kind of shines, is where you can block up an entire choke point, but because bot tower is already dead, it means that Mouse is going to go to bot lane and take the inhibitor instead. Vardax,
ult on
Beansu,
Vardax.
He's running, he's trying to hide, Sleeping gets dragged in. They don't really have the damage to insta-burst him, but they take down the inhibitor instead. Mouse are comfortably ahead in this game, 6,000 gold ahead. This also brings me back to last week, because Nardis came in over Taric, and we just saw a generally better game from them, like against Huma of all people. Okay, Huma misplayed the first game, but Mouse just played better. They had a better macro game, and they're demonstrating it again in this week up against SK Gaming. I'd like to see them play a higher in the table team, like Inspire, like Millennium, as they are right now, to see how much of it carries through, because, of course, SK sitting at both table have a lot of problems themselves, now bringing in the top laner. But Mouse, I'm still impressed by what they've accomplished this game. Yeah,
they've been doing a good job so far. I mean, they're starting to run into the wall that is a Protect comp that gets later and later. Caitlyn's 6-2-1. Our fears of the early game of Vardax perhaps not being able to stay alive seem to have been quelled, and he's picked up a few kills in the last couple of games. They've been able to hit, early flash, but a good flash by Vardax, actually. Just seeing on the bottom side of your screen 4 members of MOUs coming up through the river. That's, I mean, he's now obviously not got it for the fight, but it's better to have that happen than be dead. Because if he dies here, Baron dies, they manage to take top tower from it probably, and then ZZ Rot up that as well, and or at least ZZ Rot top and take mid. So, Vardax just got Sebex.
Just popped straight up. And now on the top side, Doggo looking to lock some people down. He's already popped the ultimate for that first kill. Rux is also getting chunked out, turns around for the death sentence, but doesn't even connect onto anyone. The rest of the team now being chased down. The hook lands, but onto terrain. He's trying to get away, but Sleeping, I believe, should have Shadow Dash very shortly. Dan trying to jump away. That is 2 flashes. Doggo is going to be Wild Growth. They hadn't even used that yet, and Doggo may be falling. He's going to waddle away to victory. The Lucian goes down. Dan comes up with the repel and comes back into the team with SK, who will gladly pick up the kill. Taunt lands onto Beansu, and that is the 5-4-0 ace. SK Gaming, massive comeback in this game.
Much better fight out of SK, and that was all from the fact that somehow Sebex got picked off before that fight even began, so there was only one real damage threat available for Mouse to actually do anything in that fight, and from there it's a very easy fight for SK. They're running forward all the time, and Vardax just sticks with the pack. As long as everybody is around him, there is no damage from Mouse that can really take Vardax out, and that results in a Baron going over to SK. They've just taken full control of this game.
Yeah, what in the what just happened? We're going to see it once again. This time it's sleeping up to the north side, lands the taunt flash, and then it's just a chase from here.
Sebex is already dead at this point, keep in mind, and from here the only damage remaining is Nardius, and what catches him out is the ability for SK to push up, and this is where the Trundle pick just all of its weight in gold. Forces the flash out from Nardius, forces 3 flashes from Mouse, so you can take away any thoughts about Tahm Kench.
Yep.
Trundle's certainly the right pick in this game, as SK managing to clean this one up. Just a much better fight here. Vardax has a very easy job to just stay alive and keep pushing forward. This is probably the best set of team fights out of SK that we've seen, and we were talking about how it does require coordination, and it seems like they feel a lot more comfortable with this style.
Sold on that pick for sure. In the bottom lane, Unlimited. 0, 3, and 12. 100% kill participation. And speaking of Unlimited, he's about to become dead. Beansu is knocked into the team, and he's shadow dashed up. Unlimited actually going to survive with the Wild Growth on top of him, and the shielding from Whimsy, from Suno rather. From Hell Picks. 1 and 0.
Time's the charm. It's okay, we've both had them today, Pulse.
The second 2 were correct. I just wanted to tell people that I understand what the spells are.
See, no,
I'm
if you didn't bring it up, Pulse, everyone would forget about it. Don't worry.
I corrected myself.
It's fine. Don't worry,
Okay.
Pulse. We got it. SK, they're going to say we've got it as well. They're pushing in under the tower. Forced a little bit back away from this. Apparently Nautilus is moving on very fast pace, because he's got the speed indicator around him. Yeah, exactly. Oh, ace in the hole.
Lining it up. Take the shot. Doesn't land it on Nardius. Got his bodyguard with him. Got some Kevlar. Mid lane goes down. SK on the way out. They're taking so much from this Baron. Middle inhibitor goes out. Bottom inhibitor is still down for SK, so they have to go back to base, because that will be hitting the Nexus turrets very shortly. Need some recalls to come out. Sleeping. He's out. Cocoon, a couple seconds away from landing. And we reset for a couple minutes, but SK definitely have the momentum in this game after that big swing from Baron.
Massive swing off that play, just from Sebex getting caught. And, I mean, you know, we've criticized Vardax and Unlimited, you know, for the last 3 weeks. This is the first game where, realistically, for SK, they played the lane swap better than we've seen them play it before. And then from there, Vardax has been playing better than we've seen him in the last 3 weeks as well. And it's because SK are playing like a team.
Here comes the team fight though. Doggo brings Sebex and Rux back into the fight with the explosive cask. Now Unlimited trying to lock the back line down, or more importantly, Dan, before they can get to Nardius. And they'll just take away the jungler, take away the AD carry. Caitlyn doing quite a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Beansu is getting punched to death by the 2 tanks in this game, Sleeping and Doggo. One last body slam will secure the kill.
And that's it.
5 and 0. That should be the game. Sleeping going into the mid lane. And wow, honestly, from both teams, big step up in terms of performance. SK come back into the game despite being down. They managed to swing a composition that we did not think was possible for them to run in previous weeks, and they executed it pretty damn well as we got into the mid and late game, and SK will be securing this first win in his best of 2 up against Mouse.
Man, that was a lot better out of SK and Mouse than we've seen in the last 3 weeks. I mean, actually fairly happy with the progression that we've seen from both of these teams when you look at what SK wanted to play, how they played it. I think it was actually pretty solid. The does remain to be a little bit said of, like, is it because their level was fairly equal that they looked better? And how does that compare to the rest of Challenger? I'm not 100% concerned with that, just because of how well they kind of played their comp. Yes, it didn't get heavily punished, but it was difficult too with the comp from Mouse. Like, Mouse with that front-on engage, just so tough.
It's difficult now because this is the 4th week and they don't have a lot of time left. Like, they basically have to, either one of them needs to win like all the games from here. If they hit the ground running from week 1 and played like that, they could have definitely picked up kills against some of the middle of the pack teams who had their own issues. But we're seeing this adaptation so late into the split, we may have to even wait until summer to see them actually come back into this one. But that was way more impressive from both teams. They executed the compositions, as you already mentioned. They just played the map well, and just in general just looked like more cohesive teams rather than 5 guys just thrown together. Yeah,
I think that's fair to say. I do wonder now, going into the next picks and bans, Lulu, I would say, probably shuts off this possibility if you ban it. I don't know whether it's worth it, because then you've got to kind of blue side pick all of these picks. So you do have options for that Lulu, but it's an interesting one now, because we know SK have had these weird picks and bans phases, but this one was fairly straightforward. It was actually not too bad.
Well, it was straightforward, but I mean, they showed what they wanted from the first rotation.
Yeah,
it was
that's
Chen,
true.
Lulu. It was like, we're running, protect something, and then final rotation with the Caitlyn. For a long time, I just didn't think it was going to work out because how slow it was scaling up. Yes, he got a couple kills, but he wasn't even denting the Nautilus for a while. In the top lane specifically, I saw him just hit the Sunfire Cape and just nothing happened. But then he got more kills, they got good punishes. Sleeping landed some really sick taunts. He also landed some very not sick taunts. There was multiple taunt flashes into nothing. But you hit one of them and you have one good team fight where everyone comes together and lands all their abilities, like a good Gragas ultimate, then you can really get the Caitlyn kills. And it was kind of fortunate that in the early game, a lot of those kills went to Vardyce kind of because they just happened to. But at the same time, I mean, they played the comp well and punished when Mouse overextended into Baron.
Yeah, that's pretty much the case. One thing to note is Deficio's prediction is still on to be right. He said 1-1, so give me a crisp high 5 on that one. It was kind of crisp. It was all right.
It was all right. Didn't have the angle on that one, so we'll have to try next time. Maybe that high 10 would be the next one we go for. Anyway, we're going to have to a quick break while we practice our high-fiving skills and also while the Rift is reset. So make sure you're back in 3.5 minutes sharp. We'll see you then.